everyone. This is 372 pages we'll never get back. This is the podcast where occasionally we talk about bad books. We being Michael J. Nelson and, of course, Connor. How are you? Connor Listoka. How are you, Connor?
I'm good, Mike. Just got back from a trip to Costco. The pandemonium of going to that place just as the doors open. It's like reminds me of those contests they used to do where you could win a trip to Toys R Us and empty out all the shelves into your cart as you ran down the aisles. It's like that.
Right. Did it look like one of those, you might not be familiar with them. There were a lot of 80s movies with people sort of wearing furs and riding motorcycles around, apocalyptic movies where they would film in an old abandoned power station. I assume that's what Costco's look like now.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There were
people
guys
with horns on and
guys
Mad
named
Max
Trash. Yeah. They were just shirtless hordes facing off over where the free sample ladies used to be.
Did you at least smack one old lady on a lark on a assisted rider vehicle? Just to you got to do that. Prison,
yeah, that had nothing to do with the current situation. I just I kept my streak intact.
Mom, you okay?
But yes,
yeah, so we're bad books, and we
explain what you mean by that, because just people who are not on the Patreon might have no idea. They think that's all we do is talk about bad books.
Right. Well, we've been doing other things
to keep busy.
So yeah, if you're not on Patreon, you are missing, gobs of material. How you want to rate that material is up to you, but the fact that you are missing it cannot be disputed, right?
Absolutely.
We've tons of stuff on there.
Yeah, we've done illustration-based improv, Andy Rooney-offs. I believe you're getting into a deep discussion of some sort of music that I'm not familiar with. I do not.
RVW, Rayfon Williams, the king.
Sure.
The king of the English art song, not to mention the English bucolic symphony.
I have I look at those, and then when you log into Patreon, it also shows you, so-and-so decreased their pledge, so-and-so joined, and I just keep being like, is this going to be the one that finally just triggers the mass exodus from whatever this art song was? But that keeps ticking up, so people seem to like it.
Well. Look at you. Turning up your nose at RVW, and he's bringing in the numbers.
You've sent me them before.
I've sent you them?
You've just been like, I unironically enjoy these. And I
think there was a short time where I was really getting into them where I'm like, look, I'm going to play them in the car as we drive to record a riff track, and I don't care what you think. So I had to explain myself. That's not something you just whip out and,
No.
That's like suddenly packing a meerschaum pipe in front of you without explanation.
Yeah, but like packing it with like tea and be like, I'm into smoking tea out of this these days. It's like, this cannot be something you are doing not for attention.
I just saw, there's a show, I think it's on the Science Network, which I didn't know existed until a few days ago.
Sounds quite fake.
And it's about, it's called like Handmade or something. And it just made me laugh that this would be something that I would get into. There's a guy he's got his PhD in it, and he does daguerreotypes. Do you know that, like tin types?
Yeah, original photos, I guess.
The old photos. And he's like, seriously, doing these silver plates is the best way to take a picture.
Oh my God.
And they walk through the process. It is just literally like an hour and a half to get one photo of a woman, and her head has to be clamped into a vise as she sits there. He has to polish his
mustache,
silver mirror
presume.
That he does. Yes. But and he's just deadly serious. And then at the end of it, you have to freeze the silver crystals on the plate with this other chemical. But he does them all with the original things.
Wow. At a cost of $2,000 a portrait?
It has to be. I mean, the labor involved. And when he's done, he shows the photo, and it's like, there's probably a filter.
Right, exactly, 100%.
Anyway, that's what I'm like. I'm somewhere between that guy and you.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I'll take it. But so in the time where we're not posting English art songs and Andy Rooney off, so we're talking about Dan Brown's Digital Fortress, the best-selling author's first book from 1998 about encryption and crypto and 90s tech gadgets. And man, it's more fun, I think, and just as dumb as I hoped. It's a breath of fresh air.
So dumb. Yeah, if you took the Mister and mixed it with some, I don't know what else you'd mix it with that we've done, but
Tech War, maybe that sort of.
Yeah, maybe Mister meets Tech War, I guess, is the best description from our little narrow field. But yeah, it is super dumb.
Yeah, and it has that feel, too, of, maybe it's not that different, but, Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, bestsellers, hit movies, and it's sort of like when when everyone in elementary school, Nirvana's Nevermind came out, and that was really like sort of a polished, radio-friendly album, and you had to go back and sort of try to get into Bleach and Incesticide, which were, rawer, more, demo-y kind of feel, and that was, it has that to me. It's that rawer, but in a dumber sort of raw way.
So, I haven't read his other novels. So you're saying that he really polishes off this technique?
Well, I don't know about the technique, but at least they were page turners, and maybe it was just the fact that they were about art as opposed to crypto, which is less of a, I think, appealing topic. Hidden messages in Da Vinci books, they still do stuff about that, like specials on the Science Channel, I bet. But
right, I guess. These are page turners in the sense that you obviously are forced to turn the page because there's 3 lines on a page.
Right, yeah.
So that is the literal definition of it. We have to. But, yeah, how many chapters did we do this time?
I think we covered 11, yeah. Okay. Maybe more than that. No, you're right. We did. We covered 14, 23 through 36.
My God.
And, a lot of them don't have a ton. Like you said, they are literally 1 or 1.5 pages. But it starts off with, in my opinion, chapter 23 had 2.5 of the best pages that we've ever read on this book.
I think
on this podcast.
This is, you hate to say that right up front is the good stuff.
Because
I think later you get some good stuff, too. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah, keep with us. We do have all the departments. We have dumb sentences. We have a very challenging fanfic reel, and we have emails from people. So
yeah. So
stay with us.
There's a lot of good stuff, and the chapters that follow, we'll only pick out the good stuff. So chapter 33 and 36 have some good stuff too.
All right, good.
No, 35 does too. We got the German. Sorry, I'm giving away stuff.
But yeah, chapter. Obviously the stuff we're talking about is a character named Greg Hale. But chapter 23 does start with, I thought, just an opportunity for a joke. So I'm going to read it. But
all right,
we talked about the weird food on this, and boy, do we get some more. We get some more. But this was the first thing. It is not super weird, but it just is needlessly specific. Susan sat alone in the plush surroundings of Node 3. She nursed a lemon mist herb tea and awaited the return of her tracer. As senior cryptographer, Susan enjoyed the terminal with the best view. I thought that anyone with a view of Susan's terminal would be the best view.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I sometimes say to myself, what will be the first note that Connor? I just don't want to have everything overlap. But when you get, she nursed a lemon mist herb tea.
Yes,
it's hard not to make that the first note that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of. So that's not super weird, but that's not a combination of words to describe a tea I've ever heard. But it is in the room. Tommy and Mark go to a coffee shop, and I just remember Greg orders a medium mint tea, which was just very weirdly specific.
Well, as we said, it's just unforced errors. Suddenly my mind is going, is there a thing called a lemon mist tea that is not a brand name?
Right.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
So if I just walk up to any, a person, a woman of a certain age, maybe it's only a woman. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a lemon mist herb tea?
No.
For the record, Bridget has never heard of one. So
okay, good. Yeah, I would expect that order to be followed by "Get out of our coffee shop."
Yes, the words again make a certain amount of sense. I understand what you might be describing, but it's not a thing.
Right. But that is all. That all quickly becomes very normal as we get the introduction of. Probably the most consecutive sections out loud that I've ever. Read on the podcast. Searching for lemon mist herb tea. Oh, there is one. Celestial Seasonings Copyright Encyclopedia. It was copyrighted in 1976. All the other references to it are from Digital Fortress by Dan Brown.
All right. Perfect. Yes.
So Greg Hale is introduced. And we met Greg Hale because we read a fanfic about him, but now we get the full introduction to his character, and I do not believe you would have identified any of these following passages as real if we had posed them as potential fanfic.
Yeah, I mean, give him the full Hale, because this is amazing.
So Greg enters. Greg Hale was tall and muscular with thick blonde hair and a deep cleft chin. Okay, tall and muscular. He was loud, thick-fleshed, and perpetually overdressed. So that's our second thick-fleshed. The third was describing Commander Strathmore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll just keep reading. His fellow cryptographers had nicknamed him Halite after the mineral. Hale had always assumed it referred to some rare gem paralleling his unrivaled intellect and rock-hard physique. Had his ego permitted him to consult an encyclopedia, he would have discovered it was nothing more than the salty residue left behind when oceans dried up. Boom! Those other programmers got his ass.
Imagine as he left the break room as they're snickering over their coffee. See you later, Halite. Hey, my name's Hale, and that's some sort of, I assume that's a precious mineral. Thanks, guys. Can't wait to see you at the, Pink Rhino later on.
Right.
And then, closes the door.
Ooh,
what a dipshit.
He still thinks it's referring to his rock-hard physique. So every time a new programmer comes in, do they explain to him, hey, we call him Halite? Well, why? Well, because halite's a mineral.
That's Hale.
Yeah, right. First of all,
halite is another pronunciation, although it's very less common than halite.
Yeah, so it's based on the first three letters, and get this, it refers to a salty residue left behind when oceans dried up. Boy, I have erred by...
You got him, man. I have to say, I read the description, and then it gets to... It gets down a little bit. So he hasn't committed we know it from fan fiction, but he hasn't been a super pig yet. He's just who he is, right? And by the time it got to this part, I was like, I don't know, man. I like this Hale character. His vanity plate read megabyte and was framed in violet neon.
Yes.
That's a baller. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that was the biggest version of a byte, probably in 1998. And that vanity plate is displayed on his White Lotus.
Yes.
That has a moonroof and a deafening subwoofer system. He was a gadget junkie, and his car was his showpiece. He'd installed, how many of these do you have in your car? Global positioning computer system.
Mm-hmm.
Voice-activated door locks. Impossible to ascertain why you would need that or ever use it other than to show it to people who would not be impressed.
Yeah, that is not a thing. It's not desirable. There's no way.
Yeah. 5-point radar jammer. So that's one more than a 4-point radar jammer. And a cellular fax/phone. So he'd never be out of touch with his messaging services. So mobile fax machine, the height of 1998 technology.
Yep.
It's amazing.
All right, so people who haven't read the book, so we've read these things about Halite, as we call him. Now, let's put in another piece. What do you think? Like, what's his background? Where do you think Halite came? This total. I mean, obviously,
fraternity,
complete and
bro.
utter douchebag.
Yeah.
Pleated pants, business shirt with a collar pin with a different colored collar.
Yes. Earpiece, if those had been invented. Earpiece.
Yeah.
Bluetooth.
Moosed hair. Alligator shoes, Ferragamo or something.
Yeah. So yeah, fraternity bro who then maybe went on to, work at his dad's firm right out of, college type of thing.
Yeah. Had obviously had an expense account or
trust fund.
Trust fund from a trust fund kid.
Yeah.
Given everything. No. U.S. Marine. This is. He's a Marine.
He served his country.
Semper Fi, baby.
Yeah.
What his plate does? His plate says megabyte.
Maybe then he's got his Semper Fi bumper sticker next to that because maybe that was already taken.
Oh, he's got his parade dress sword in the back of his Lotus, at the window. Like, what? He's a Marine?
Well, ex-Marine. Because
That's true.
We do learn that, so he learned to program in the Marines. He was one of the best programmers the Marines had ever seen and well on his way to a distinguished military career. But 2 days before the completion of his third tour of duty, so he did see combat action, his future suddenly changed. Hale accidentally killed a fellow Marine. Not like Pat Tillman or something. Line of duty, friendly fire. In a drunken brawl, the Korean art of self-defense, Taekwondo, proved more deadly than defensive. He was promptly relieved of his duty. So he murdered somebody.
Yes. Hale is a 2-page or 3-page cartoon done by Napoleon Dynamite in his loose leaf notebook.
Right. The need to refer to it as the Korean. We have all heard of Taekwondo. It is. It was instilled into every person who went through the 80s.
But then he gets this is breezed over.
Yeah.
After serving a brief prison term.
For
murder.
Of him,
the narrator calls him Halite then, began looking for work.
Yeah.
So a little diss, a little cuff in the back of the head by the omniscient narrator.
Yes, yeah. So he begins looking for work in the private sector as a programmer. He was always upfront about the incident in the Marines, the murder of a fellow Marine, and he courted prospective employers by offering a month's work without pay to prove his worth. So how do you expect that played out? Like when he brings up at the job interview, hey, I know that there's some incidents in my past. I murdered somebody, drunkenly murdered a fellow Marine too, who was serving his country. But I would be willing to take a couple weeks unpaid, just to make everyone more comfortable.
And there, at this point, sir, there are 2 security guards right behind you. If you could just follow them out of the building without incident.
I'll make it a whole month of unpaid leave. I am quite good at programming. You would think.
They are cuffing you to the chain that they have between them, and you are being let out of the building.
Yeah, my grandfather served in World War II as a Marine. You were an utter disgrace, and your commuting of your sentence is a dark chapter on our country's history. He had no shortage of takers. And once they found out what he could do with the computer, they never wanted to let him go.
All right, I'm looking at your file here. I'm seeing a dishonorable discharge. All right, let me flip backwards.
Yeah, but I did my time. I paid my debt.
A brief prison term.
Yeah, it was 10 days. So
let me flip another page back. Murdered a man in a drunken brawl. Oh, I'm one of your takers, sir.
Right. Yeah. So is the drunken brawl part? Is that worse than if he had just slept in and snuck in and a blanket party gone wrong, or just had had premeditated it? I don't know. I think it's he's more of a wild card. He's less predictable for an office environment.
I mean, I've got a guy in my HR department who beat a guy to death with a bag of oranges, but that was part of a ritual. I mean, he was sober.
Right. Yes. Exactly. We know what to expect of him. Like, yes. Oh man,
the guy takes orders. I mean,
I just wrote "hook it to my veins" at this point in time. It's just like, of all the unforced errors, like he killed a guy in self-defense who was, harassing a fellow Marine or something, or a friendly fire incident. It would just be like, at least he has honor or something.
Yes, but so we get that far, and it goes up from there. As his computer expertise grew, Hale began making internet connections all over the world.
Ooh.
He was one of the new breed of cyber freaks. That was a new term to me. I did not look it up. But
yeah, that's sort of one part of it from column A, one from column B. Let's go cyber and I don't know what, freak, sure.
Yeah, and so he has email friends in every nation. So he's basically a ham radio operator they're trying to make sexy or something.
Yeah.
Moving in and out of seedy electronic bulletin boards and, get this, European chat groups. Can you imagine something such as a European chat group? And then this is the key. Do you have the next sentence there?
Of course.
All right, go ahead.
He'd been fired by 2 different employers for using their business accounts to upload pornographic photos to some of his friends. Fool me
is
twice.
A masterpiece of a sentence.
So he's He's in the office. He's working his first month for free because of his drunken murder of a Marine, and he just decides to fire up the office business accounts to some of these European internet friends in the chat room and send them some pornography. And he does it after getting fired once. Decides it's a good idea to try it again.
And these are his friends, and so his friends are going like, "Man, you are barely holding on to your job. Would you stop?"
Yeah, really, man. We're like, are you drinking on the job when you're doing this? We're super concerned. Like we're cyber freaks just like you. If we want this, it's very easy. I mean, we're in
a European chat group, and I find this shocking. I don't know.
Right. I mean, we're on seedy electronic bulletin boards. It's readily accessible. Please don't endanger yourself anymore, Halite.
I may have stated this before, that I had a friend who ran a business, a very successful business, and there was a guy who was paid a ton of money who would just open up pornography at work on his computer. And he came out and said, like, I could fire you today. Uh-huh. And then he had him, sat him in his office and said, I know your situation. I know what your...
What situation?
Well, he just was talking about his kids and his, he knew his family.
Oh, right. People depended on him.
Right. Yeah. And like what you're doing
I'm giving you a break because of that.
Yes. It is going to destroy the lives of you and your family because you will never get a job again.
Right.
And, hangs his head, leaves the office, goes, sits down, opens up pornography. Like, watched him destroy his own life in front of him. It just, so grimly funny and astonishing. Like, no, you don't wait till next week.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he just, during the meeting, his arm just starts reaching for the mouse, like, Bob.
No. Yes.
Oh, man. Have I told the story about a family member who told me about someone who was fired for what they described as compulsive behavior?
No.
Oh yeah, he was fired for
compulsive behavior. Is a good euphemism.
It was. He said. He was. I don't know if he wasn't fired. He wasn't fired, but I think there was a separation or something like that, and that was. I think I must have been in middle school or high school, and that was how he described it to me. Like we're not going to be seeing. They're not together anymore because of some sort of incident and maybe like substance abuse and compulsive behavior. And only much later did I realize that there was only one thing you would do to cage under compulsive behavior. It would not be gambling, because of course you tell that to a 15-year-old. It was obviously some sort of sex addiction,
right? Compulsive behavior. But speaking of compulsive behavior,
yep,
Greg has some odd, besides the one we just described.
Oh my God! So after all that, he's hired by the NSA. He is, the government agency who I've filled out background requests, background checks for friends, guys I lived with in college from just trying to get jobs in the judicial system, let alone the FBI or CIA or NSA, where I'm pretty sure while we were still in college, smoking weed was enough to disqualify you.
Yeah,
let alone murdering a Marine.
Yes. I've had to interview with people who are doing, where they send the two guys. They're like, will you allow two people to come into your home and do a short interview? I'm like, well, if it helps my friend get this job. And man, those are intense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my friend was like, you just got to be honest. I'm like, really? Even about that one night? Wow. Okay.
So this guy wanders around. I'm trying to think what movie character we're supposed to think of here, but the most arrogant, obnoxious, oily, lugubrious, greasy, lubricious, just absolutely slimy piece of garbage.
Yeah,
I mean Gordon Gekko, but even more like creepy. Yeah.
American Psycho guy combined with the O-Face guy from Office Space, kind of.
Right. It's just like every gross thing.
And somehow, he walks in, he makes a point out of ogling Susan's legs stretched out beneath her terminal. And it says that Susan had gotten used to Hale hitting on her. His favorite line was something about interfacing to check the compatibility of their hardware. So that's his favorite line. He's trotted that out more than once. It turned Susan's stomach. She was too proud to complain to Strathmore about Hale. It was far easier just to ignore him. And I was just like, she has the guy's ear. He's her guardian. She's his favorite pupil. If she said, "Hey, you know the guy that murdered someone? He's really creepy," it would be like, "Get him out of here."
Right. That guy is on thin ice. We're not even paying him. Why? Right. So then here's more of his behavior. Hale approached the Node 3 pantry and pulled open the lattice doors like a bull. Lattice doors inside the high-tech, whatever.
Sure. Okay. Bulls known for opening, cupboards. I don't know.
Bulls, notoriously terrible at. I've seen that Bugs Bunny cartoon where he fights the bull. Yeah, he was always opening lattice doors. He slid a Tupperware container of tofu out of the fridge and popped a few pieces of the gelatinous white substance in his mouth. All right, we've reached top insanity, obviously, right?
Oh, yeah.
It can't 100%. Get any more insane.
That would be wild if it did, no.
He chuckled to himself, I'm just skipping ahead, and put away his tofu. Okay, good. That is over.
It's a weird thing to snack on, but,
that thing is behind us.
I enjoy eating it, in Thai food or something.
Then he grabbed a quart of virgin olive oil and took a few swigs. All right. Dan Brown, what in the name of hell are you doing here?
It's so amazing. Because he was a health fiend and claimed olive oil cleaned out his lower intestine. When he wasn't pushing carrot juice on the rest of the staff, he was preaching the virtues of high colonics. So, and worse than the murders in my mind is going around, pushing olive juice to clean out your colonic for you. So.
Oh,
amazing.
Now look, you probably have done this. You've done olive oil tastings.
Sure. Olive oil has they're all different. It's not like it's,
Yeah, it's fun, but you take, and I've done them many times. I have a lot of olive oil. I just got a bottle today in the mail of a fresh olive oil.
Tune into Quarantine Mini for the explanation of this, I'm sure.
Of course. There's not going to be anything else to talk about. But no, you take a tiny bit and you pour it in a little shot glass and, you smell it. And I admit it's obnoxious if you're not initiated. And a lot of people say, I don't want to sip olive oil. That seems odd to me.
Sure.
Which that's fine. I get it.
You could dip like a crostini in it.
Sure. You serve a little bread. You can pour it over the bread, whatever. Swigging a couple gulps of olive oil. This is nothing ever done by any human in the history of mankind.
It's incredible. It's like the Sunny D ad or something, like purple stuff. Sunny D, olive oil. Give me some of that. I don't know. It has to be based on someone he knew or something a rumor or something, because otherwise, not recognizable human behavior. Much more relatable to get drunk and kill someone in a bar.
Right. Now we know who he is. But again, an unforced error of, what is that trait? Where he's just trying to describe the slimy guy who's like, look at this baby over here. All right, sweetheart, let's hook up. I'm a slime ball. And then he reaches over and swigs a mint julep. Like, what? What is that? I don't, is he a Kentucky Colonel? All of a sudden he's just drinking olive oil. Just... record scratch. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's sort of mixing up the 80s health nut from California stereotypes combined with the Wall Street guy stereotypes. He also reeks of cologne, by the way, which I'm suspicious of. That might be coming back. I think she might detect the cologne before she sees him about to do something bad or something. But
no, I think if this were a trait that Owen Wilson had in one of the Meet the Fokker sequels or something, I've started, I'm swigging this olive oil, man. It's really, you'd go, that is bizarre, but that's
off-putting, but obviously intentionally so.
Yes.
Oh, man. So, it ends with this understatement of the year. She's wondering why he's there, but she's also nervous that he might wonder why she's there. Hale would demand to know the truth. The truth was something Susan had no intention of telling him. She did not trust Greg Hale. No shit. You don't say. How about that? It's incredible.
What? You don't trust me? I just swigged olive oil in front of you. I opened cabinets like a bull, and I sexually assaulted you. Or, what? You don't
talk
trust
about
me?
Interfacing with your hardware.
Oh, man, I'm not even drunk. I'm probably not going to kill you in a brawl.
Come on, it's me, Halite, named after, I presume, a rare gem.
Let's take my Lotus later.
That's right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just getting a fax. I got to go get in my car, and it was a takeout menu. Oh, it's amazing. My favorite character.
Stunning. It, when we did the little piece of fanfic, you're kind of like, well, this obviously he's going to write this ship. There's no way this guy is this bad.
Yeah, you can.
It's just doubles, triples, quadruples down.
I wish, I wish drinking olive oil had been part of the fanfic or something like that. If we had, since we established the weird food so early,
yeah,
that would have been. But then we get some stuff about how he came to work at them called the Skipjack fiasco. The NSA was going to release code that Congress had approved. And a few days from when they were doing it, Greg Hale, who was working in the private sector, determined that Strathmore had snuck in some backdoor code that was going to give the NSA unlimited encryption or some garbage like that. It's covered in about a page. And we get the EFF is outraged. The public is outraged. They're both portrayed as the bad guys. And Strathmore argues that the public's craving for privacy would come back to haunt them. But that's sort of how he came to work there. It was one of those, oh, you cracked our code, we've got to snatch you up. My enemy is now my best asset type of thing.
It's a weird thing. We're starting to get a little focus on what exactly Dan Brown thinks of the freedom of information and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's privacy, because here it says the EFF descended on the scandal like vultures.
Yes.
Ripping Congress to shreds for their naivete and proclaiming the NSA the biggest threat to the free world since Hitler. It's like, am I missing something? They're not right. Hitler always is,
right.
Okay, fine. But were they not right, though?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're 100% right. I mean, the EFF is like the virtual, it's like the virtual ACLU or something. And he just calling them vultures is like Mr. Burns being like, the public safety inspector. Is there any bigger vulture on, the upstanding business owner than...
It is bizarre stance in the next few chapters is the NSA must have the ability to spy on every single human on Earth. Anything contra to that is a shocking scandal and will destroy everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the crux of the plot. Yeah.
And I guess it's sort of his, I guess what he's going for is the, what would you do? Can you torture a guy if he's got the key to the bomb that's about to type of thing? But his main thing is that they should be able to spy on anyone without a warrant anytime they want to.
Yes, all people at all times, and anything less than that baseline is the ultimate tragedy, and that is the MacGuffin of the whole thing, right? The NSA must be able to spy on all people at all times, otherwise death.
Yes, I guess so. It's sort of a weird issue because it seems like it's the type of issue that you could have a Venn diagram of agreeance on from, different political spectrums.
Right.
It's like bizarre. Unconstitutional.
The fact that he makes that the crux of it, it just seems, again, an unforced error like swigging olive oil. Like, yeah. There are other things to say.
Unforced error like he beat up a fellow Marine in a drunken brawl so that he wouldn't, have to go to jail. He'd just be dishonorably discharged, have to explain it, and not be a convicted murderer.
Right.
Like, well, why not do that? It's so stupid.
Well, that's the amazing chapter 23.
Yeah. I finished those pages and we're like, I don't think it's ever been topped. Like, maybe the thing where Wade Watts talked about the books he read or something, right. The movies he watched. But yes. Man, well, it moves on to chapter 24, and it sort of goes to back to David, I guess, in Spain.
David in Spain, who he went to the hospital. He learned about Dewdrop.
Oh man, yeah, he has a lot of issues with this. He's, for whatever reason, I guess it could be protesting too much, but if I was like, hey, I think this stripper I met last night really likes me. Her name is her name is Sapphire. You wouldn't be like, Sapphire? That's ridiculous. That's just an absurd name. I'm he's hung up on this. He's told that the prostitute's name is Dewdrop, and he can't get over this.
That's like if a spy or someone who was extorting people was named North Dakota. I mean, it's no sense at all.
What parent would give this? I need to sit down.
There's a wrestler named The Rock. I mean, who names someone The Rock? I don't get it.
But I mean, this is not an exaggeration. It says the delirious Clouchard had recalled the escort's name as Dewdrop. Becker cringed. Dewdrop? It sounded more like a cow than a beautiful girl. Not a good Catholic name at all. Clouchard must have been mistaken. What on earth? And like a cow, like you could Dewdrop. I mean, it sounds like a fairy, maybe. But dewy innocence. That's like fresh as the morning dew. Like it's not super sexy, but like you get what they're going for.
Tee-hee, a pinky in the mouth. I'm a little dewdrop.
Right? Yeah.
German tourist.
It's hilarious.
But before we get to his here's a paragraph that really caught my attention because we're obsessed with the time, another unforced error. Why are authors telling us like how long someone did something? Okay. Why don't you just leave it alone? We can imagine the time that it takes for someone to make a phone call.
Sure.
So here it is. Yeah. He just called Strathmore and told him about the German tourist. The news had not been received well. After demanding the specifics, Strathmore had fallen silent for a long time. David, he had finally said very gravely, finding that ring is a matter of national security. I'm leaving it in your hands. Don't fail me. The phone had gone dead. So that just struck me as odd. Like, that's not the way things play out in real life. So I dove into the dark web.
Oh, all right.
2.1. That's not the one. I don't think you have access to that. I didn't give you, unless you took my password.
No, you won't share the account with me because you say I should pay for my own. It's like, people share these accounts all the time. I use my parents' HBO. I use my brother's Washington Post.
That's true, yeah.
But, so.
Someday, maybe. once you gain my trust. But I wasn't able to find anything. So what I did is that I wrote a sketch about it, and then I sent it to you, and then we recorded it on
what?
On tape. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
there must have been something on the dark web.
No, there's nothing there. It didn't.
But why would we go to that trouble? That's absurd.
I don't know. Well,
it seems like it would be sort of embarrassing.
There's going to be an after-action report after all of this, but that's what happened.
Okay.
Wow, you don't remember this?
No, well, I mean,
it seems like it just happened.
I think you're having issues searching Dark Web 2.1. I think that you should let me on there. You're probably still like putting in like even though it has to include all the terms. I don't know.
Hang on, let me grab my olive oil and we can discuss this.
Fine. How's that going down?
Oh, boy, my colon is feeling good. Anyway, so here's what I think is a sketch that Connor and I did.
Interesting.
I'm getting conflicting information, but let's play it and see if it's true.
Okay. Strathmore, there's a German tourist.
German tourist. I don't know. I'm not receiving that well. I demand the specifics.
Do you want the specifics? Hello? Maybe I stepped out of coverage. Spain is known for I see full bars of coverage. So, seems like you've fallen silent for a long time. But the connection is, still, it's very much active. And I do hear you breathing. So, yeah. Frankly, I'm somewhat at a loss. I mean, brother, how long should I just hang on the phone here? I must confess, this is getting pretty weird.
David.
So you are there.
Finding that ring is a matter of national security.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no new information there, but thanks.
I'm leaving it in your hands.
Yeah, well, I'm the only one you sent, so that makes...
Don't fail me.
Okay, just don't let the phone go dead. God, son of a bitch. The phone went dead. Oh, damn it, Spain. Now I'm going to have to douse my head in a fountain.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
I leave it to the listeners. I don't think I got that off the Dark Web 2.1. I don't know.
I think we should leave it to those guys. I mean, I don't know why they keep posting them to the Dark Web as opposed to normal web, but there's clearly forces out there that they're afraid of, and I'm worried we may have exposed ourselves.
Do you think that this is a push op by the NSA?
They very well could be, and we know the dangerous lunatics that they employ in high-level positions. So
this is high-level psyops, man. Well done, NSA.
But yeah, he's looking for Dewdrop, even though he can't believe anyone could be out there with that kind of name. But he calls up. He starts calling up the escort services. And he's like saying, hey, he employs his language skills to say, I am German and I want the same prostitute my brother had. And he says, my brother Klaus, he has girl, very beautiful, red hair. I want same for tomorrow, please. So which is a weird, that's just a weird request, even if it was real.
Yeah, but he, I love the technique of this chapter too is, not chapter 2 of this chapter as well, of him calling up different ones, and then the chapter has the little break in it, and like, well, strike one, couldn't find the escort, and then he dialed. Like, okay, can you just condense this down into he couldn't find the person
after striking out with the
Dewdrop.
first two, he was about to try, this is my last one. Oh, well, but
also the description of, so it's all illegal here, and they're all going like, oh, stars and garters, there are no escorts here.
What you are looking for is a prostitute. The word slid off his tongue like a vile disease. Which I guess if they're having to keep up a ruse, like they would probably employ that. But
yes, but I love that we're predisposed to be repelled by this character who hired Dewdrop. Dewdrop? Yeah. What is that? Boy. But yes, he is very fat.
Yeah, I fat and lonely too. I want to lie with her.
Yes. So I think we're going to get a very subtle representation of a German tourist is coming up. Coming our way soon.
He's just got his suitcase full of sauerbraten and his lederhosen and
his weird candies. We're all set.
But and then it ends with a little bit of world building. Despite the traffic, the sweet scent of Seville oranges hung all around him.
Yes.
It was twilight, the most romantic hour, and he thought of Susan. So there's a third detail. Seville has crippling heat from the sun. It has the building where they shot a scene in Lawrence of Arabia, and there's scent of oranges everywhere in the air around him.
Yep. And he's looking for a fat German.
And a couple of people wrote this in. We can discuss it further in the email section, but they pointed out that Dan Brown spent a semester abroad in Seville in college.
You don't say.
So this is all he picked up on, as he was obviously, partying at the other American bars and writing home to his other friends about how cheap it was to get beer and stuff. And then he was like, yeah, and it smells like oranges. All right, off to get drunk.
He was doing, gross hand gestures and sticking out his tongue at the equivalent of Senior Frogs. And
yes.
Man, it smelled like oranges.
But that's the end of chapter 24 as far as I'm concerned.
We got nothing else. Chapter 25, pretty slim.
pretty slim. We learned that the mystery man in wire-rimmed glasses goes in and kills Clouchard, the French Canadian travel writer. So I was puzzled because at the end of the last time we saw him, he was sort of doing the I'm fading fast, lights are going out, but that was just actually caused by his broken wrist or something.
He was actually sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very puzzling.
Yeah.
No one had slipped him, he didn't see the man in wire-rimmed glasses leaving then after he had poisoned him, but he goes and kills him now.
Yep. Does the old syringe of, what is it? Just cleaning fluid or something?
Huh. Is that real?
Yeah. 30 cc's of cleaning fluid stolen from a janitor's cart.
Wow.
And so we get this little thing. He's got these glasses that record things. So he's got the Google Glass, right?
Yeah. He had a prototype.
And here's how it was developed. Developed by the U.S. Navy to help technicians record battery voltages in cramped quarters on submarines, the miniature computer packed a cellular modem and the newest advances in microtechnology. So, I'm trying to record battery voltages on a submarine. Hand me that thing. Wait a minute. Do you think I could strap this to a pair of glasses, then send messages about my assassinations via my fingertips? I don't see why not.
Yeah. Oh, that technology will never work until we've developed an appropriately sized portable cellular modem. Damn it.
Battery voltages on submarines. I mean, that has to be a tiny pen-sized thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, and like, are you doing this a lot? Like, is that someone's full-time job? If so, if not, you probably don't need to develop this $8 million technology to do it.
Yes, but I love the hand wave of the.
Newest advances.
It was that, and then the newest advances.
Yada yada yada. Yeah, I can't be forced to make up all this stuff. Come on. But yeah, it works by him tapping his thumb to his fingers in various patterns. So they've developed a whole new language for this. It's so
guys in battery rooms on submarines are tapping their fingers and looking through their monocles, I guess.
I think the way Google Glass worked was by sort of just like looking up and down like Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man. But, it is funny to, be able to invent any bullshit technology, but then he just invents this incredibly complicated, impractical one to actually be able to control it. A series of blinks could send any message. Like, why not make it telepathic?
Oh, but also the explanation. It could have been anything. Developed by an insane genius from Hungary who was trying to get people without sight to be able to see, like submarine battery voltages.
I wonder if there's anything on the dark web about those submarine guys.
I don't know. I wonder if there's guys writing sketches about it. All right. Chapter 26.
Chapter. Yeah.
I don't have anything for this.
He protests more about, he says, Dewdrop. There was something about that absurd name that nagged at the back of his mind. He wonders why Strathmore hasn't sent a professional, and I wrote down, because you speak the language, duh. And then he sort of cracks the code by...
He finally realizes that he can speak languages.
He calls up one of the things, and they say there are two redhead escorts here. We have Immaculata and Rocio, and he sort of does the echoing in his mind thing. Rocio. Becker stopped short. He suddenly knew, and I call myself a language specialist. He couldn't believe he'd missed it. And then it goes into the Dan Brown explanation. Rocio was one of the most popular names for girls in Spain. It carried all the right implications for a young Catholic girl. Purity, virginity, natural beauty. The connotations of purity all stem from the name's literal meaning, drop of dew. And so this is, it plays out more, but I said everyone in the book has a genius switch that just conveniently switches off whenever it needs to be. Like it needs to be, it's it's one of those like, a timer goes down, and every 15 seconds it turns their switch to dumbass, and you have to then turn it back up, and it starts counting back from genius again. Because it happens to Susan all the time too, like upcoming. Yeah,
but it's also even with the characters, like the guy who installed the neon license plate on his Lotus at the time he was getting that installed. Obviously, all of his intelligence had to be wiped clean like a slate.
Yeah, people are going to key this car every time they see it, sir. I don't care. Put it in there. My zip disk can hoard 100 megabytes. So
The thing that this reminded me of was Nilbog. Nilbog is goblin spelled backwards.
Yeah, right.
It could not be stupider. Rocio, like he's stroking his chin. Like, you know all these languages. That's the word.
You're fluent in however many dialects of Spain, like, you know. But yeah, all the characters in Nilbog were idiots, though. No one made any pretenses about that. They were portrayed as dumb idiots. But yeah, so it started to grow on me because it just is so convenient and sloppy. And again, you didn't need to make them 170 IQ geniuses. If they work at the NSA, we'll assume that they're pretty intelligent.
Right.
Or a Georgetown professor. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for chapter 26.
So 27, we go back to
the NSA Node 3.
Yeah, Susan and Hale. I don't have a lot for this chapter. Sorry, I didn't call him Halite.
Sorry, yep.
Halite.
Well, it started off with a flashing envelope icon appeared on Susan's monitor announcing the arrival of email. And then
that's my only note for the chapter. Even at the NSA, really?
I wrote the next sentence for Dan Brown. Susan had been meaning to disable the incredibly annoying feature for months, but had never found the time to.
and it pops up even in the Node 3 going like, "You've got mail.
Yep.
Would you like to open me? I'm new. I'm mail."
But yeah, even it's not even a dumb movie where they need that to show people how a computer works because it's uninteresting. It's visual. The alert for a new email popped up on her screen.
Yes.
But then the email was opened. I think this was in the fan fiction. It was a single line. Susan read it, and then she read it again. Dinner at Alfredo's, 8 p.m. Across the room, Hale muffled a chuckle. It is pretty funny, so we'll give him that.
I would just point out that my search for chuckles was not captured. This one didn't capture it. Huh. Muffled a chuckle is not a sentence you would search for and expect to find a result. So the chuckling continues.
Indeed.
Earlier, I didn't point out, but Susan had, in the space of 2 sentences, she sighed heavily. And then she groaned audibly, so she really is a cartoon at this point. Yes. But she's also chuckling, and then she's frowning heavily, and then tight smiles.
Yeah, furrowing her brow.
Yeah.
But then we get this reveal. She turns him down, of course, because he's sending her these emails knowing that she's engaged. But, gee, Sue, I'm hurt. Susan Fletcher's eyes narrowed. She hated being called Sue. She had nothing against the nickname, but Hale was the only one who'd ever used it. I refuse to believe that someone go through their life as a Susan and that had never came up. He was the only one who had ever used it.
Yes. And that was his, again, his IQ, if you had to guess. I mean, just, from the range. He's got to be in the 163 category.
I mean, yeah, if he's cracking these codes that these other 170 people are coming up with.
And I guess he's applying all of his genius towards, negging from the internet in 2007 or something. Like,
yeah,
hey, Sue, let's go get some carpaccio.
Or he hacked into the DMV's website to get them to allow 8 characters on a license plate as opposed to the 7 that is pretty typical in that area.
Oh, so you're not going to let me have earned it? All right, well, I'm going to take a megabyte then.
Right. We did a scavenger hunt for Lauren's birthday one year, and one of the things you had to find was a vanity plate that referenced the make or model of the car it was as that type of douchebag thing.
Sure.
Like, Tom's Pony for a Mustang or something. And 2, I think, of the 4 groups were able to find one.
Wow. Again, I'll repeat a story, but it's very brief. There was a guy who worked, this is years ago, he had I forget what the car was, just a muscle car, and it had earned it license plate.
God.
And he had the, he was Hale. Just think of Hale. This is this guy. And he worked next door. And we used to go out into this big green space that they mowed, and it was meticulous, like an office park. And so we would throw the football around, and once we were doing it outside, and he came up and said, so this is earned it. And he goes, you guys think this is a goddamn football park or something? And it was so obnoxious that I thought he was kidding, so I passed him the ball.
Right.
And he took the ball and threw it into the bush.
Was he the boss?
Went into his office.
Was he the boss?
He was the boss at the place next door to us.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. No, not our person.
Wow. So he thought you were making his office seem less serious by just being.
And this was an office park with no walk up people. Nobody ever. It's only
Was this the MST office?
Yeah. It was just worker bees, going to this weird little office. There was no customers.
Right. But you were the fun office that the other people did resent.
Right.
Just
I guess we'd go out and grill and stuff and throw a ball around.
Football park.
What do you think this is? A football park? Is there such a thing?
The temptation to come back with every type of game or sporting equipment on consecutive days would have been impossible to ignore. What do you think this is? A badminton place?
What kind of racket are you using now so that I can compare it to something? You'll have to figure it out.
You come out with one of those new lawn games that always seems to develop. What is that? A Danish game of kings cube or something?
Why don't you go to the park with the name of that thing? Anyway, that was diversion because chapter 28 is also... I don't have a lot of notes on it. It's a good chapter.
Yes. This is... okay. Yeah. So this is another guy at the escort service.
Mm-hmm. We're still dialing escort services.
This is the time is running. It's a matter of national security, and David is calling escort services. He calls up and says, "Hey," he fakes the German accent. "Hey, I want to find my brother. I'm also fat." And he's like, "Sir, we don't have prostitutes here." And this is the same escort service, Senor Roldan. He is sitting behind his desk at Escortes Belen, congratulating himself for deftly sidestepping the Guardia's newest pathetic attempt to trap him. He thought it was an entrapment call from the civil police force.
Right.
Having an officer...
That's what they're doing when they're not treating people who are dying from heat in their plazas.
Yes. When they're not endangering septuagenarians by strapping them onto their motor scooter and take them to the hospital after they suffered a concussion. But having an officer fake a German accent and request a girl for the night, it was entrapment. What would they think of next? So this is he's deeply suspicious. He immediately gets another call asking about the same German guy and thinks nothing of it and proceeds as if it's a normal call.
Right.
Not even a normal call. This is how it goes. David claims that he says, "Is this a hotel?" And he says, "No, this is an escort service." He goes, "Oh, I have a wrong number then." And it says, "Espere, wait." Senor Roldan couldn't help himself. He was a salesman at heart. Was this a referral?
Sorry.
Was this a referral? A new client from up north? He wasn't going to let a little paranoia blow a potential sale. So he interprets this as to set the stage, a wrong number has called him. And he thinks maybe I could convert this guy who wanted a hotel into
opportunity, right?
Having sex with a prostitute.
Yeah.
And turns out on Dark Web 2.0, there are still a few idiots left using that who don't have access. Indeed.
Oh, I'm just now seeing your emails. Can I get the password for 2.1? I'm just now seeing them. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, just now. Yeah, just getting this. Yeah, we all know what that means.
Yeah.
But no, so I was scrounging around. It was like going on a GeoCity site. Very bad interface. Worried it was going to infest me with viruses because I don't have translator to block out the bugs. But there was a sketch.
No.
Sorry, yes. I mean, a reenactment, a virtual dark web.
What is a sketch again?
Not a sketch. That's not
a reenactment.
Yes. Yeah, it's sketches like Dewdrop. I'm not just. It's absurd. It's an absurd name to call a dark web reenactment.
Yes.
And but they did this particular scenario played out on Dark Web 2.0. I hope the audio quality is okay because again 2.0.
Yeah, on 2.1 it's 7.1 surround.
FLAC?
It has the,
oh wow.
Yeah,
Atmos?
No, it has the height information
as
well.
Wow.
So it's like
well,
it's like Atmos. Atmos, that's what it is. Yeah.
My headphones are taped together with packing tape, so I probably wouldn't really take full advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Good evening, Cheetah's 5-star escort service.
Oh, hi. Good evening. Is this a hotel?
No, sir. What number are you dialing?
Oh, look, 407-255-0551?
That's the right number, but this is an escort service.
Oh, I see. I thought it was a hotel. I'm visiting here from Omaha. My apologies. Good night.
Wait. All right, come on, Roland. Could this be a referral? A new client from up north? My friend, I went to college with a guy from Omaha.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, now, maybe would you like a prostitute?
What? No.
Damn it.
I thought I was calling the Swan Hotel at Disney World.
Swan. That's gotta be some sort of code. Yes. Lucretia has a very long neck. Perhaps she would suit your hooker needs.
What? I don't know. I'm trying to make a hotel reservation for my family, my wife and 3 children.
Three. Why did he pick that number? Three. So it's a threesome you're looking for. A threesome of hookers?
What? No! My daughter is obsessed with Elsa from Frozen.
Elsa from Frozen. Oh, I see. So you want to be tied up?
No.
Erotic trampling.
No.
Electro-humiliation?
What do any of those have to do with Frozen?
I will admit I have not seen it. I don't have kids myself.
I certainly would hope not.
Honey, who are you talking to?
Just trying to make a hotel reservation, dear.
Well, hurry up. Jenny needs help with her math homework.
Okay.
Math homework, division, multiplication. I see.
Would you stop doing that?
I'm sorry. I guess I'm just a salesman at heart.
Well, you're not a very good one.
Sir, may I ask why you're still on the call?
Okay, just one sec. Okay, she left the room. Sorry that took so long. Yeah, I need a prostitute.
I knew it!
Sorry to beat around the bush like that. I thought you were going to hang up on me. Now, you mentioned electro-humiliation.
That's our specialty.
Put me down for 10,000 volts of whatever the hell that is. From a girl named Elsa, if you've got one.
We do now. So, yeah, there we have it. That was a long, cunning ruse on that part of the caller. So you could convert a wrong number into a escort service sale. So
so that was a recreation. So that actually happened. So
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
So
they
is
got
a real
the leaked phone
thing.
calls, and then they recreated it to change the voices. Obviously,
right?
Yeah. So
right.
It's just the power and testament of a salesman. Salesman.
While we were listening to that, I downloaded one of the superior ones off 2.1, and man, I listened to it. It is amazing. Anyway, someday I'll send that to you. What's your email again?
I don't want to give it to you.
Okay, all right.
I listened to a interview with 2 guys from Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder and one of the guitarists, and Eddie Vedder was talking about watching a documentary about Rush. And how they all, at the end of it, they all were. He just sort of took to heart that they had remained friends all this year and did their own thing. He sounded like he was also very impressed by the documentary. It made him very appreciate the guys.
We are all Mike Nelsons now. We all love Rush documentaries without liking their music.
But this chapter ends with he says the prostitute guy says it was odd he thought to have 2 calls about the German in one night because yes. David claims he has the German's passport and wants to return it to him, and he ends up giving him the name of the hotel, the Alfonso the 13th hotel where the German has taken Dewdrop. So he is just super concerned about client privacy in this situation.
But it ends with this great, there's like a little chapter break. This is how important this is. David Becker hung up the phone. Alfonso 13, he chuckled. What? Why is that? Why is that even remotely?
Does it give any context for the chuckle?
It says, just have to know how to ask. I think he's chuckling over how clever he was to fool an escort service into thinking he was two different fat Germans or what. I don't know.
My God.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
It's not, that happens in a lot of the bad movies that we do where someone will say something and then two other characters will laugh.
Yeah.
And it's not a funny line, and it never would be in any context.
Right, yes.
You guys want some food? Sure, I'll have some.
Right, yeah. I mean, Tommy Wiseau, obviously a lot like Hospital in Guerrero Street.
Yes. What a story.
Yeah. Maybe these characters all have Etsy arts in a fancy like script font that says "Live, Chuckle, Love" on their walls.
Yes. All right, so chapter 29?
Yes, chapter 29. Before chapter 29, do you want to do some real or fanfic?
Yeah. Okay. I'm scared.
All right.
I'm scared, but I'll do it.
All right.
To quote Alanis Morissette, I'm scared, but I'll do it. Thank you. And
God.
All right. All right.
All right.
If I don't sound enthusiastic, it's because I know I'm going to take a drubbing on this. My normal hit rate of 51.2% is going to really take a hit this time.
Yeah, you might go down to slightly less above a coin flip.
Yes.
Well, yeah, this is the segment where people send in their Dan Brown fanfic. So all of these excerpts that Mike is going to try to guess could be fanfic that our listeners have written, or they could be future excerpts of Digital Fortress. It could be all of one, all of the other, or some sort of a mix. And yeah, it's been tricky so far. We'll see how this one goes. Are you ready?
I am ready. Last episodes was...
Last one was okay, I believe. I think you got 3 out of 5 correct.
Yeah, but I think I was shattered on the shoals of some character name.
Names? Yeah, it was Jabba and Midge.
Okay, it was Midge. Sorry, why could I forget Midge? All right.
All right. Some of them may make an appearance in this.
Right.
Here's number 1. Brinkerhoff felt himself flush. Carmen Huerta was a 27-year-old pastry chef who worked in the NSA commissary. Brinkerhoff had enjoyed a number of presumably secret after-hour flings with her in the stockroom. She gave him a wicked wink. Remember, Chad, Big Brother knows all. Big Brother? Brinkerhoff gulped in disbelief. Big Brother watches the stock rooms, too? Big Brother, or Brother as Midge often called it, was a Centrex 333 that sat in a small closet-like space off the suite central room. Brother was Midge's whole world. It received data from 148 closed-circuit video cameras, 399 electronic doors, 377 phone taps, and 212 freestanding bugs in the NSA complex.
The specificity of the numbers is a good enticement. That's the bait that I would normally swallow up. But the pastry chef in the commissary, I'm going to call bullshit on. That is fanfic. That's good.
Yeah. Number 2. A human pincushion pawed past him, giving Becker an elbow in the side. Nice tie. Someone gave Becker's necktie a hard yank. Wanna fuck? A teenage girl stared up at him, looking like something out of Dawn of the Dead. The darkness of the corridor spilled out into a huge cement chamber that reeked of alcohol and body odor. The scene was surreal, a deep mountain grotto in which hundreds of bodies moved as one. They surged up and down, hands pressed firmly to their sides, heads bobbing like lifeless bulbs on tops of rigid spines. Crazed souls took running dives off a stage and landed on a sea of human limbs. Bodies were passed back and forth like human beach balls. Overhead, the pulsing strobes gave the whole thing the look of an old, silent movie.
Wow. Boy, if that's fanfic, I congratulate. But I'm going to say that that's real.
Okay.
Because I can see Dan Brown having gone to a punk club, and that's his impression of it. So I'm going to say that human pincushion does sound Dan Brownish. And if I'm fooled, I tip my hat, obviously.
All right. Number 3. Underneath the twisting mass of cables, Jabba was sweating. He was still on his back with a penlight clutched in his teeth. He'd gotten used to working late on weekends. The less hectic NSA hours were often the only times he could perform hardware maintenance. As he maneuvered the red-hot soldering iron through the maze of wires above him, he moved with exceptional care. Singeing any of the dangling sheaths would be a disaster. Just another few inches, he thought. The job was taking far longer than he'd imagined. Just as he brought the tip of the iron against the final thread of raw solder, his cellular phone rang sharply. Jabba startled. His arm twitched, and a large glob of sizzling, liquefied lead fell on his arm. Shit! He dropped the iron and practically swallowed his penlight. Shit! Shit! Shit!
I like the end of it. The coda's nice. I'm going to say it's fanfic.
Okay. Number 4. After a few moments, she gasped. I knew it. Strathmore did it. He really did. The idiot. She held up the paper and shook it. He bypassed Gauntlet. Have a look. Brinkerhoff stared dumbfounded a moment and then raced across the director's office. He crowded in next to Midge in front of the window. She pointed...
Damn it. Brinkerhoff and Midge. Son of a bitch. Sorry, go ahead.
She pointed to the end of the readout. Brinkerhoff read in disbelief. What the... The printout contained a list of the last 36 files that had entered Translator. After each file was a 4-digit gauntlet clearance code. However, the last file on the sheet had no clearance code. It simply read, manual bypass. Jesus, Brinkerhoff thought. Midge strikes again.
Well, it's very good and it's the Midge and Brinkerhoff are obviously my weak spots, my Achilles heel. But I think that's fanfic because I think it echoes something that happens before, but I still wouldn't put it past Dan Brown to repeat a beat. So,
all right.
So never mind. But anyway, I think it's fanfic.
Okay. And number 5, the final one. What's with the hair? Becker moaned, motioning to the others. It's all red, white, and blue, the kid offered. Becker nodded, trying not to stare at the infected perforation in the kid's upper lip. Judas taboo, the kid said matter-of-factly. Becker looked bewildered. The punk spat in the aisle, obviously disgusted with Becker's ignorance. Judas taboo? Greatest punk since Sid Vicious? Blew his head off here a year ago today. It's his anniversary. Becker nodded vaguely, obviously missing the connection. Taboo did his hair this way the day he signed off. The kid spat again. Every fan worth his weight in piss has got red, white, and blue hair today. For a long moment, Becker said nothing. Slowly, as if he'd been shot with a tranquilizer, he turned and faced front. Becker surveyed the group on the bus. Every last one was a punk. Most were staring at him.
Damn it. See, it's these people reading ahead and causing this confusion. So there obviously is chapters of him going to a punk club.
This references something we haven't discussed yet, where the prostitute gave the ring to she says, punxio or something.
Yes. All right, well, that's fanfic.
Okay.
So give me your worst, Doctor.
All right, let's do it. Number 1 was Brinkerhoff and the 27-year-old pastry chef who works in the NSA commissary.
Sure.
You said fanfic, that is real.
God, no way.
They've had many flings in the stockroom with the 27-year-old pastry chef.
And there's a tiny computer called Big Brother that sits in a closet?
Brother, as Midge often called it.
Oh,
and it monitors 148 closed-circuit videos, 399 electronic doors, 377 phone taps, etc.
Oh.
I cannot wait to meet Midge.
Listeners, please have pity on me. Please have pity on me.
Number 2, that's the human pin cushion, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, the punks.
Yanking his tie. You said real. That is real.
Okay. Well, at least, all right, so I'm coin flip right now.
That one begins with a word I didn't want to say on the podcast. So,
right.
It's a little slice of 1998. So that'll be a coffee spit moment once everyone gets to it. Number 3, I was Jabba dripping solder on his arm and swearing over and over again. You said fanfic, that one is real.
What? Oh, this is diabolical. There's just too much material. This book's too big.
It is, I guess. And there's characters we haven't even met yet that are evidently hugely prominent in the back half.
I'm 33.3 on this. All right.
Number 4 was Midge strikes again. Brinkerhoff realizes. You said fanfic. That one is real.
What?
The manual bypass. This has already happened. That's what manual abort, I guess, was the earlier one.
All right, you're doing the next fanfic. This is bullshit.
all right. And then 5. That was What's with the Hair. Judas Taboo, the greatest punk since Sid Vicious. You said fanfic, and that one is real. They were all real this time.
No, you said the first one was No,
you thought the second one was real, and you were correct. The human pincushion and
wait, I got
girls.
1 out of 5 because you chose all real.
Yes.
All right.
I've said that every time. They can all be real or they can all be fanfic.
I know,
and
but
finally went for it because we had so much material to work with.
Son of a bitch. That's
wow. That's going
right.
to drop the statistics. That's going to Man.
Oh, come on, though.
There's so much good stuff that happens later. He goes to a punk show, and Dan Brown describes that as a huge dork professor of linguistics.
I'm going to look on the dark web 2.1 for some co-host on a podcast who really acts like an a-hole when he sets up
It's been part of the rules the entire time.
Yes, it has. Let the listener decide.
It's not my fault that all of a sudden there's characters named Jabba and Midge.
No, it is not your fault. There are other things that are your fault. That is not your fault.
Oh.
All right. Moving quickly along. Chapter 29.
Chapter 29.
You son of
a... so Susan is sitting in the programmer's office. She's silent. Hale is silent again. She wished he would leave. She wondered if she should call Strathmore. The commander would simply kick Hale out. But this is just another moment of a genius, not taking the obvious tactic and solving her problem easily and quickly.
This is a weird thing where it just keeps cutting back to her sitting uncomfortably in an office with an obvious sexual predator who's a greasy moron, and then. This is the strangest thing. So he's set up Strathmore already. We don't need any more Strathmore. We know who he is. He's and he's obviously going to be proved false in the end or whatever,
Sure.
Either way. But laying it on thick, like troweling it on, Susan thought of Strathmore nobly bearing the weight of this ordeal on his shoulders, doing what was necessary, staying cool in the face of disaster. Susan sometimes saw David in Strathmore. They had many of the same qualities: tenacity, dedication, intelligence. Sometimes Susan thought Strathmore would be lost without her. The purity of her love for cryptography seemed to be an emotional lifeline to Strathmore, lifting him from the sea of churning politics and reminding him of his early days as a codebreaker. What is he attempting to do with that?
I don't know. It's like, it's it's about to have him suffer a noble death or something at this point in time.
It reminded me slightly of we do this all the time. I love these comparisons. In Macbeth, when Macbeth talks about the king that he has to kill, and he gives this speech about his virtues have, sung out to the angels, trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. And, but that's just one time.
Yeah.
It's once, and then okay, now kill that. We've set him up as an angelic character that you must now kill to become evil. And in this, it's just keeps going back to,
she called him the greatest
figure.
Man she's ever known. I think.
Yes. We already know that. So whatever you're setting up for this, lay off, man.
She glanced out the window where he was lifting a car off of a trapped pregnant woman as a it really does tell it on, especially thick, especially considering that he just this morning went behind her back to send her husband to Spain without telling her on a mission that is gone off the rails and he refuses to send any backup.
Right.
Like, imagine if you called into the Riff Tracks meeting and, David G was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I sent Bridget to, a foreign country to do some dangerous government business."
Right.
You would not be like, his noble, the halo was practically visible above his head. You're like, I'm still harboring a bit of a grudge.
Yeah, that's
wish
a
you would
little
ask
weird.
me. Yeah.
Oh, and has he called? Yeah, he called. He said something about a German, and then I paused for, I think I got to be 2 minutes before I spoke to him. Like, what are you doing to him?
Yeah, really, please put him on the phone. I'm extremely concerned, and I've indicated that to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's going to look at another payphone, and he's going to hope it works. So, I mean, that's the best I can do. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Susan looks in and he's, declining to come down off the cross or something. Like, come on. Like, but yeah, so it goes on to talk about how David has written her notes, and this is just so dumb. We don't have to spend much time on it, but he wrote her a note that says, "Please accept this humble facts. My love for you is without wax."
Oh, yeah, that thing is like, that was too stupid to even think about. And so that was his.
She'd begged him for months to tell her what it meant, but he had refused without wax. It was David's revenge. One listener wrote in and said that they had already immediately cracked it. I'll admit my IQ is not 170, but I have not. But I didn't spend too much time. Any ideas?
I did. I spent no time on it.
Okay,
I'm this is going to be, if it's as dumb as people saying, all the other stupid things people have done, then I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm terrible
Wayne,
at. I may have said I did a speech once for what's the
Mensa?
genius? Huh?
Mensa?
Yeah, I did a speech for Mensa, and I said, do I, given what I've done and then my speech, and you all really enjoyed it, do I get the membership?
Admittance?
They're like, no, you certainly do not. I'm like, well, what do I have to do? Like, look at this. And, here's a test. Like, all right, I'm out. All right, forget it.
Yeah.
Sorry. not my cup of tea. Yeah, it's something about wax. I don't know. I didn't understand it. I admit I'm dumber than a bag of hammers about that stuff.
Dan Brown could be one of the people they trot out. Don't they always trot out like Sharon Stone? Isn't she?
Yeah, she was. Yes, she's Mensa as well.
But so then it goes on to indicate that she had taught him a lot about code breaking, and to keep him on his toes had taken to encoding all of her messages to him with some simple encryption scheme, love notes, shopping lists. And I was just like, how quickly that would get old. Like, honey, I just need to know what I need for the lasagna. This is so tiresome every time I go to the store.
This is a busman's holiday for me. I don't need this now. I get this every day. I sit next to Hale. Come on, man.
Then what's his name ends up coming down, the greatest man she's ever known, the reincarnation of the Buddha, this supreme.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
But he immediately says, "What the hell is he doing here?" Strathmore demanded as soon as he and Susan were outside Node 3 because they're discussing this. And she says, "You want to send him home?" "Nah, we'll let him be."
Yes.
Then, "Has Chartrukian left yet?" "I don't know. I haven't seen him." "Jesus," Strathmore groaned. "This is a circus." Sadly, I'm powerless to stop it, but oh well.
Yeah, what is the deal? Like, if people are hanging around your office when they're not supposed to be there, and he's all nervous about the greatest man who's ever lived, who's calmer than anybody else, is like walking outside the window outside his office and pulling his hair out and jumping up and down and like slamming computers over and going like, "What's he doing here? What is happening?" Hopefully he's not noticing anything by this display of my obvious nervousness and rage. Just send them home.
Yeah, I don't know. General Schwarzkopf, we're about to launch Operation Desert Storm. However, Pauly Shore is in the commander's office, and he creates a lot of unease. He's very unpredictable. Should we send him home? There's nothing I.
What's he doing here? Yeah. It's also, isn't it a matter of, you could just simply say, you're not getting paid. Like, this is not. These are off office hours. You're not.
Right.
So you get nothing.
Or we have a military-esque hierarchy here. Get the hell out of this office. This is a need-to-know basis. Like,
right.
It would be, everyone would accept that. Everyone has their mental idea of how they think these government organizations work.
No,
Again,
I just come in on Saturdays to eat tofu out of the refrigerator and check my emails.
Yeah.
You are fired. Oh, by the way, I'm the guy who murdered a guy in a drunken brawl. Like,
well, I forgot. Stay on as long as you want to. Have unfettered access to these secret government computers. And then it turns out while he's in there that he cannot be trusted. He has installed chips in everybody's keyboard. And through an absurd scheme requiring him to leave the office with a different cryptographer's keyboard every day, I guess just tucked in under his arm in his briefcase. They don't explain, but he takes it home, gets their password, so he has everyone's password.
Right.
And he logs in, and with no explanation, sees that Susan is running a tracer, and without any explanation, aborts it manually and switches back, locks her computer again.
That's what Marines do. That's what they're known for. They're known for driving their Lotuses with neon license plates, with voice-activated car locks, and stealing people's keyboards so they can get back in and work on Saturday and eat tofu and drink olive oil. Marines.
He's going to that cliche well. It just makes me sick to see our men in uniform portrayed so broadly.
It would have been great if You Can't Handle the Truth. He had swigged a couple things of olive oil before it and eaten some white, slimy tofu out of a container that came out of the refrigerator. Hang on.
Me on that wall. You need. Oh, yeah. Me on that wall. Oh. Can we recess? That is acting quickly.
The judge going like, would you like any salt with this tofu or any?
No. And it is, I am sad to admit that it is the extra firm variety instead of super gelatinous today. They were sold out in the commissary, so.
Is it the one that you can slice or the one that just sort of falls apart when you touch it?
It's the silken stuff. I just scoop out a handful. Yeah. If I get some on my face, I apologize in advance.
Wow. So there we are.
Yeah, that takes us into so later on they do get into him potential reason for this, but it's all sort of obfuscated with the doling out the information a piece at a time. So right now, to us, he's just canceled this just to be a dick.
Canceled the what?
Her tracer trying to find out where.
Oh yeah.
Sent the emails from.
Yeah, this is a thing that you just kind of go, oh, okay.
I guess we'll get to.
Yeah, we assumed he was a bad guy. The cutting back and forth to the office where he opens lattice doors like a bull does nothing for like making this a page turner other than the fact.
I kind of wish it had been its own chapters every time they did that.
Right. Yeah. Make him as long as a Shadow Moon chapter and keep it going with Greg Hale.
We get to chapter 30, which is he gets to the hotel that he chuckled about. And this was just a weird thing to read. I don't know what do you have for this?
Oh, I just have a couple things about the Castilian
concierge.
The concierges, but the Castilian Spanish.
Okay.
He says hovering behind the counter marked concierge was a trim, well-groomed man, smiling so eagerly that appeared he'd waited his entire life to be of assistance. En qui puedo servir, señor? How may I serve you? He spoke with an affected lisp and ran his eyes up and down Becker's body.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, I was like, all right, please say no. It's Castilian Spanish, right?
Right.
Isn't that defined by the list?
Say señor or something like that.
Yes, and that was done on purpose, I believe, to separate the upper class from the lower. They adopted it as a thing. I don't know when. I'm sorry. I don't know much about it. But I believe that is what that's why it is made fun of, because it is, by nature, lisping.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, he's got an out. This is not where he's going. But,
oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, no. He does indeed go there.
Yeah. 80s and 90s gay stereotypes in book form was a very odd thing to behold.
I figured the only thing I could figure was he doing was it 48 Hours or whatever, Eddie Murphy, and then the guy who played
I haven't seen it.
Balky.
Oh wow!
He had like a 30-second spot of just doing like mincing about.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing I could figure is that he saw that.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
yeah, and so he's
he looks at him up and down at the envelope and clucks sadly to himself. Another lovesick heterosexual, he thought. What a waste. And then he, after discreetly checking out Becker's backside, scooped the envelope off the counter and turned to the bank of numbered slots on the wall behind him. So he's just doing the snapping and sashaying about. It's pretty amazing because you don't often encounter that in prose.
Why did he need to? This is my question, just on a technical level. Why did he need to discreetly check out Becker's backside? Because he's doing
turned to him.
Remember the samurai cop guy, the guy in the restaurant who was. Remember that guy?
Oh yes.
Super long name, and he was. I think
the host
supposed
there.
To be, yes.
Yeah.
And he was doing the ooh,
it's
just like
very much that that character.
What is the discretion necessary once you've been mincing about? I think you're fine. I think he's got who your character is supposed to be.
Maybe discreet in Dan Brown's mind means he didn't actively lower the shades and have his eyes bug out at him or something. He suppressed that cartoon instinct.
Anyway, a weird sidestep but getting to know Dan Brown it's quite a journey.
Exactly. But yeah, he uses some sort of adventure game logic of asking him to put the key in their box and then spying to see which room he puts it in so he can go up and confront the German guy. But it all just sort of is meted out small chapter by small chapter at a time. It takes us to chapter 31.
We go back to Node 3, baby. Woo!
And they start discussing. Hale reveals that he knows about Tankado's unbreakable algorithm, which causes Susan further alarm on top of all the alarm she's already had. And Susan says, "Oh yeah," she tries to be coy. She says, "I don't buy it." And Hale, this is Susan's moron switch is flipped. "Who knows?" Hale sighed dramatically. "There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy." So he's just said one of the, what would you say, top 3 most famous lines from Hamlet, Shakespeare's most famous play?
Yeah.
Top 5?
Don't you think it would be if you said dun 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 dun, and then you said Beethoven, and somebody said Beethoven?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the equivalent of that.
So her response to that world-famous quote is, "I beg your pardon?" Shakespeare, Hale offered. Hamlet.
170 IQ.
Yeah.
170.
I mean, I guess if he was trying to, you could do the reverse. Have him saying something out of Troilus and Cressida and having her, know it on the spot. And it's like, Hale had been trying for 3 months to try to slip one by her, but her knowledge was all-encompassing. Instead, it's just complete dumbassery at the mention of Hamlet.
I memorized the entire first folio edition when I was a sophomore,
Right. Yeah, but when I was still playing. And, yeah. But Hale is sort of joined because he found the hole in the NSAs, and he sort of maintains that. He's sort of against the NSA's overreach, just like Tankado was. And he sort of reveals that he's been in communication with Tankado.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. But he says, "You sound like you've been brainwashed by Strathmore. You know damn well the FBI can't listen in whenever they want. They need to get a warrant. A spiked encryption standard would mean the NSA could listen in to anyone, anytime, anywhere." But she says she wanted to curse Hale for Digital Fortress for her troubles with David, for the fact that she wasn't in the Smokies, but none of it was his fault. Hale's only fault was that he was obnoxious. I mean, the murder.
The murder does. It's not in his plus column.
Just a check in the yes, exactly.
I mean, we don't know the guy that he murdered. To be fair.
To be fair.
I mean, maybe he murdered the equivalent of Jeffrey Dahmer. But even then, it's still count against Hale. But his only fault is that he's obnoxious.
Yeah, he appears to be a sexual predator. He doesn't respect boundaries with their fiancée. Anyway, but so they go on to do one more of those moments that very much amused me. She says, that's our job, Halite. That's our duty. Whether we like it or not, there is a frail gate separating democracy from anarchy. The NSA guards that gate. Hale nodded thoughtfully. Qui custodiet ipsos custodes. And how does she respond to that? I mean,
well, she speaks many languages. She dates a guy who speaks 13 languages. He's, a polyglot.
She's intelligent, so she recognizes even though it's Latin, the repeated word structure. And she sees qui, so you assume that's probably a who. But no, Susan looked puzzled. Yeah. So she's like actively drooling at this point in time. And Hale says it's Latin from Satires of Juvenal. It means who will guard the guards. So again, I just start writing in the book genius every time one of these happens.
Okay, so she says he says what it means. Who will guard the guards? So he translates for her.
Yeah, because she says, I don't get it.
I don't get it, Susan said. What are we talking about right now? Yeah. That's like you want to slap her upside the head. It's Bella from Twilight, the staring, just staring. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
We're actively engaged in conversation. I just quoted something you should have known. You certainly have read. Then I translated it for you, and you forgot what we were talking about before?
Yeah. She says, I don't get it. Who will guard the guards? Yeah, if we're the guards of society, then who will watch us and make sure we're not dangerous? He lays it out like, he's talking to a literal idiot.
Yeah. And then you take a sandwich is a piece of bread and there's something in the middle of it. So we call it, sandwich-o in middle-o. What does that mean?
Yeah,
no, it's just
yeah. Put it in a WikiHow with some of those weird illustrations for me. And then so he explains, if we're the guards, who will watch us and make sure we're not dangerous, which is maybe 8 more words than the original saying, needed or required. And then Susan nodded, unsure how to respond. It's amazing. It's just so funny.
What is she doing? But he gives
maybe the cologne has some sort of power that shorts out brain circuits or something.
Well, instead of getting the inner dialogue of, inside of her, have the camera shoot into the close-up thing and do, the cinematic thing and then go into Susan's brain. Susan obviously knew what she was doing.
Right.
She was leading him down a path, pretending to be ignorant. Nope. She's a dumb shit. This is her on the face. There is not a second level of the chessboard here. She has just moved her pawn like it was a rook, and she has no idea what's going on.
And that, what you just described would make a lot of sense in some situations. If you did have in a spy movie like this, if you had the super attractive woman who could go in and sort of do the what is this dude and then come back in and be a boss again, be like, I got it, I had to act like I didn't know what Cochrane's theorem was. Of course I do, but I got the code. But they are just sort of doing a much stupider version of that.
Yeah, but even in the dumbest movie, it would still cut back to that guy going I know what she's doing. But this operates on its face as though it is a children's book about, and especially in that paragraph, if a 4th grader had to write a thing about the difference between liberty and safety and turned that paragraph in, the teacher would be like, that's a good first step, Jared, but that's a little easy.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. Let's give it a little more thought about, ethics and philosophy and, give me a few more sources and come back again. Okay, I just wrote it last night. Yes, right. I could tell.
Yeah, I sort of paraphrased Wikipedia, but yeah, so based on that, he then reveals that Tancado signed all his letters to Hale by saying that. It was his favorite setting. And so it's like sort of the cyberpunk equivalent of the basic bitch. like we talked about the live, laugh, love earlier. That's pretty much what it is. Like it's
Right.
so, it's like philosophy 101. It's like the Guy Fawkes mask. He's just unaware. This other genius who's doing all this and has, seen the betrayals of the world and the horrors is still saying, who will watch the watchers?
Yes.
Man, upgrade your philosophy just a slight bit.
Oh, Dan Brown, good try. Do it again. That's all I got for 31.
Yeah, me too. But we cut to David Becker back in the Alfonso the 13th hotel room.
Oh, I'm going to give this chapter a little golf clap too. I like
Nice.
this one.
All right.
This is, remember we promised you a fat German, an enormously fat German, and boy, do we get him. But here's the first thing before we get to his corpulence.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this peculiar technique that Dan Brown uses where he does both languages.
Yeah.
So he's speaking in German to a German person. Becker continued in perfect German. May I speak to you a moment? The man looked uneasy. Was wollen Sie? What do you want?
Yes.
Becker realized he should have rehearsed this before brazenly knocking on a stranger's door. You have something I need. These were apparently not the right words. The German's eyes narrowed. Ein Ring, Becker said. Du hast einen Ring. You have a ring. So if you walked up to someone and you spoke
Right.
two languages and you kept speaking in both languages, the person would go, what the hell are you doing? What?
Yeah, stick with one. Clearly, I'm German and I speak the first one.
Yeah.
I don't need the...
But as a technique, he already said, I'm speaking to him in perfect German. So just keep it in English.
Yeah.
Or do the other and just rely on people to get it from context or whatever. Or the guy stammers back in broken English like, I have no ring.
yeah.
What?
It would be
just doing both
easily
is-
forgiven. Yeah.
It's so stupid. And he continues it for the whole chapter. He just puts both. He puts English and German. And they both speak both things.
It's, I guess it would be padding a word count if it was a high school essay, but it seems very unnecessary here because, he leaves no doubt about the fact that this guy is from German. That's all he's referred to as.
Right. But we all understand this technique when you watch a movie about, trying to assassinate Hitler and it's an English movie and they're all speaking English.
Yes, exactly.
They would have been speaking German. We all understand that. We're accepting the premise, but we're English speakers. So
Yes.
It's in English. But we get it. It's just the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah. I don't know what that choice was because, people are pretty forgiving with, just put the first one in and take it from there.
Yeah. But let's get to his corpulence.
All right. Yep. He was larger than Becker had imagined. His hairy chest began right under his triple chin and sloped outward to his colossal gut. The drawstring of his white terry cloth Alfonso the 13th bathrobe barely reached around his waist. The poor German was sweating profusely. So
there's
the sweating fat man
thick-fleshed-
from Tech War. Yeah.
Thick-fleshed is like a trim, fit person compared to this guy, right?
Rock hard physique, we were told someone was thick-fleshed.
Okay.
But this guy, triple chin is just icing on the cake. And that's compared to, we have Jabba upcoming as well. So
Wow, yeah. So this guy gets all these descriptions, and then this one, just another cuff from Dan Brown. The obese man quickly set down his wallet. He's been described as obese. It's all right to just say the nervous man, the sweaty man,
the springs, barely held the
trembling
corpulence.
man.
Yeah.
His wallet between his porky fingers.
The guy downstairs banged a broom against the thing to stop the thundering every time he shifted his weight.
It's just unbelievable.
And he sort of used a ruse to get in here by knocking on the door and saying, you have something I need. And the guy said, get the hell out of here. And then he his technique again was to knock on the door again. And the guy who's in there with a prostitute he's hired answers the door again, which I just thought that maybe you would sort of slide the emergency lock and the deadbolt and say, I'm going to go on with my evening now. This guy is harassing me. But
right. But yeah, so he lets him in the room and they have this long conversation. Mm-hmm. And here's another condescension from Dan Brown. This is as he's trying to ascertain what they did with this ring. Yes, the Asian man this morning in the park, it was an assassination. Ermordung. Becker loved the German word for assassination. Ermordung. It was so chilling. Stop condescending to me. How many times are you going to repeat it? Like, yes, we got it from context. And then he does it like 4 more times.
Wow.
Wow, the word Ermordung. Boy, did it sure mean assassination, thought Becker. It's just that chapter bugged me for that.
Yeah, German is not a language where you hear someone say a word in it and you're like, the sweet syllables of the most romantic language. It's like, if you just shout anything in German, it's going to sound vaguely off-putting.
Becker loved the word.
But yeah, they sort of, Rocio comes out. We got that paste from Fanfic last time. She's incredibly hot. She speaks throaty English. And then, but she reveals, he's like, I'll give you all the money I have. And she says, I can't. Why not? I no longer have the ring. She says apologetically, I've already sold it. So it's turned into a role-playing game fetch quest at this point in time where it's like you get the bottle and you have to give it to this guy for the bug net, and then he's going to give you the wheel of cheese for it, and then that guy will trade it for the beans, and then you'll eventually get the magnifying glass.
Right, but at this point, how does
this
amount to any kind of tension or anything? Like,
it doesn't for me because I'm like, I don't assume that anyone is going to have it at this point in time.
Right.
And it's also like he should call and be like, I need help. Send your, buddies over here, NSA guy, for a matter of national security. I'm in over my head.
Right. And I guess whatever you guys have to do to get the information of who they gave it to that's outside of my ken.
Yeah,
and
right.
How important it is outside of my ken as well. I don't know.
Right.
But this is a great thing. Dan Brown does this a lot where I don't think he tracks his own physical or, the scowls, the frowns, the tightness, the this, the that.
Chuckling.
The German, here I'm tracking this. The German went white, then went whiter still, then he started sweating profusely, then he went purple.
Oh my!
So he's clearly in cardiac arrest.
A heart attack. Yep. Right.
Then his left arm went numb. Then the fat man lay down. But he just does it as he's just trying to add color, but he doesn't track his own things. So like, where's my character now? What's he doing?
Just like the Clouchard guy in the last one, who was like fading fast for 20 straight minutes.
Yeah.
Well, it's that cruel Andalusian sun.
That's true, man. It can
its
do
effects
anything.
can be delayed.
It can do anything.
I also didn't like this because you didn't learn it till later. But she said, "I don't have the ring. I've already sold it." And later she says, "Oh no, I just gave it to somebody." I don't know if that was an editorial thing, but she's like, "Yeah, I gave it to the punk kid."
Yes.
I did, like if she's lying it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. But
Dan Brown he's not very crafty with his chapter ends. It's just supposed to get you to go to the next thing, but sometimes they're pretty limp.
Right. But yeah, speaking of limp, chapter 33.
Yeah, chapter 33 is small.
It's the Numa Numa guy, the Japanese businessman who's trying to buy it. He tries to get someone to tap a phone for him. It's a page and a half.
Yeah, here's the one note that I had about this. So it's odd to even mention this. Like, he burst from his office and took a left down Numa Tech's main hallway. His employees bowed reverently as he stormed past. Numataka knew better than to believe they actually loved him. Bowing was a courtesy Japanese employees offered even the most ruthless of bosses.
What on earth?
So it would be like saying, he knew that people didn't love grasping his hand and shaking it up and down in a handshake, but it was a courtesy they offered him.
Right.
Like, yeah, this is baked in. Why are you stopping to tell me that he didn't? So there was a moment where
societal reflex, essentially.
Yeah. So when I meet a guy and I shake his hand, I go, oh, wow, that guy must really like me. He grasped my hand in his own hand. And then he kind of shook it up and down for it was like 2 seconds. Right. That guy must love me.
But it's not even something you're, at least in that one, you're actively both participating in. This is him like walking quickly down a hall and people like slightly bowing at him. He's not even noticing it at this point in time because it's such a common thing for his society and his position in life.
Dan Brown, you dummy. That was another unforced error. There's no reason to bring it up. We know what bowing is in Japanese culture.
Right. Yeah, it's not, he hasn't, again, I'll bring him again. He's not bringing over Pauly Shore, who's like, what, do those guys really respect you? No, son, this is just a custom over here. You must learn this if you're going to take over the family business.
Right. And then I think this ends with one of the wait, what is this? Susan did I skip a chapter?
Chapter 34 is Susan, back to Susan.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I went ahead.
Where her tracer has developed a bug.
Yep, let's go ahead to that.
She says that Susan considered bugs the most maddening asset of computer programming. That's weird because most people love them. They love to have their software not work the way it's supposed to. But so I guess she's unique in that department. And she had always thought the term bug had an amusing origin, which I thought, let's stretch that word to its breaking point.
Oh, God. Did he give us the, I don't have it as a note. Did he go to bug?
It was a early, room-sized computer where a moth had
I knew
flown
the
into the circuits and fried
that
something.
He actually wrote it. I must have been glazing at that point.
People confirmed that actually did happen.
Wow. But this is her inner life again. So turn the genius switch off.
Okay.
Turn 170 down to 85. I don't know. Her thoughts turned to David, hoping he was all right. She still found it hard to believe he was in Spain. This is reality. This is what are you talking about?
Right,
what do you mean she still found it hard to believe? She really didn't.
She wished he wasn't there, I guess. Yeah, she misses him and hopes he's back soon, but yeah. I don't know.
His views of people's inner thoughts make them sound like absolute morons.
Yeah, I guess, the day after the Nats won the World Series, I woke up, it was like, did that really happen? Awesome. But it's not like just hey, David's in Spain. What? 5 minutes later, it's still a reality you cannot grasp.
I wonder if the Nats won the... Oh, they did, yes.
Yeah, that's right. I watched it happen, and,
Yes, it was there.
Oh, the genius switch. It makes the story that much more delightful.
Yeah, and she gets dumber and dumber till the end of the thing where she punches in the error code. And yeah.
Well, we get an action scene.
Yeah, go ahead.
Susan flipped through the sysop manual, scanning the list of error codes. That's the action scene. That's
yeah.
You just imagining some Trent Reznor Social Network soundtrack behind that,
flip. But a little more witness to her being as dumb as a Cocker Spaniel. She cocked her head. Was it possible? The data it returned? You are a high-level person. All you did was send a tracer email and then sat there at your desk and got, verbally assaulted by this total douchebag. What do you do here? What is your job?
Right. Yeah. She pondered the wax without wax poem for a while, unable to solve it.
Yeah. And then she looks at error codes. She does really nothing, and that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, she says that she realizes that her tracer was manually aborted, and that leaves us hanging for chapter 35.
I don't want to speculate ahead, but it seems like Hale's a good guy, so who knows? It couldn't be him. He did not, of course.
Yeah. I guess 37 is where we learn some more stuff that I think is misdirection. But 36. But
all right. So chapter 35. We're back.
You were being
Germans.
Sarcastic, right?
Yes.
Who do you think is the bad guy at this point in time? Strathmore?
Yes, I think Strathmore, because we're only a third of the way through.
Yeah, I guess so.
And Hale's been set up as wearing devil horns and.
Yeah,
and then we have the angel from on high. So
right, I guess so.
I guess we just don't have that many. It's probably it's not going to be Becker, right?
Yeah, but we've got all sorts of new characters. We haven't met yet. 27-year-old pastry chef, the director,
that's right.
Midge, Jabba.
It's going to be Midge.
There's the punks. Chapter 35, though, goes back to the Germans' hotel room. They established that there was no CPR done on Tancado, and Rosia reveals that she gave the ring to a punk. A punk? Yes, a punk, she said in rough English, and then immediately switched back to Spanish. Mucha joyería. Lots of jewelry. Immediately, I mean, she then switches back to English, I guess. I don't know. That was your thing you pointed out last time.
Yeah,
weird pendant
there's no
in
reason
one
for this. Yeah.
A weird pendant in one ear. A skull, I think. David's response. There are punk rockers in Seville? And then it says, okay, red, white, and blue hair, a British flag t-shirt, a skull pendant in one ear. What else? Nothing. Just your average punk. Average punk? Becker was from the world of collegiate sweatshirts and conservative haircuts. He couldn't even picture what the woman was talking about. Just like,
what year is this?
So this is 97, 98. So you've had the entire Sex Pistols of the 70s. You had the punks of the 80s, which is where they really sort of infiltrated, Hollywood culture and stuff. They're, in Ninja Turtles movies. You have the punks of the 90s. Rancid was dominating the airwaves in the late 90s. The Warped Tour. The techno punks like Prodigy is essentially what they're getting at. Keith Flint. It's been established as a look his entire life.
I think there was probably a number of punks being parodied in like Pee Wee Herman's morning TV show for kids.
Yes.
By this point, that had been 15 years in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, the spiky mohawk was a thing, just a well-established trope in all facets of entertainment down to children's cartoons.
I will point out this, though. He's not done with the German. The enormous German sat bewildered on the bed. He's like, geez, I gained a little weight over the holidays. I'm starting to run again. I went to the doctor. My blood pressure is actually pretty good.
The human walrus. His apologies fell on deaf ears.
I mean, I am sweating a bit. It's true. It is hard to stay propped on a bed and being bewildered. It does take it out of one.
The soaked mattress from the, Titanic man's perspiration sloshed, despite the fact that it was not a waterbed.
The long hairs from his third chin fell like chinchilla fur down onto the damp mattress as the oil from his sebaceous glands oozed out into it and made a thick slurry of fur. And
God. Well, we get him saying in German, "Fuck off und die." The man repeated, patting his left palm against his fleshy right forearm. In case you were wondering that his arms were toned, unlike the rest of him. A crude approximation of the Italian gesture. Becker was too drained to be offended. And so I'm guessing this is some sort of misdirection. I'm guessing that he's indicating that someone has a tattoo that says that on her arm that he's trying to point out.
Right. I don't know.
That was because it ends with him repeating it, with Becker repeating it as he leaves the room to sort of seed it. I don't try to get too far ahead, but that's my prediction.
Okay. Here's the one. I don't actually have a comment for this. It just must have struck out to me. I put this down. Knock etwas. Anything else? Anything to help me find the punk rocker with a ring? There was a long silence. It was as if the giant man had something he wanted to say. Like, again,
hello.
You've established my weight. It was as if the German man, the guy, the giant man.
Yes.
But here's one I want to test you on. This is my final note on chapter 35.
Okay.
Rocio shook her head. That's all. But you'll never find her. Seville is a big city. Okay, then so there's a M dash, and then she has something after that. So I'm Rocio, and I say that. I say, okay. You'll never find her. Seville is a big city, and then you have to guess what the big city.
Why you'll never find her. Okay.
Yes.
It has many unmapped back alleyways.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It has dozens of neighborhood festivals which take place, clogging the streets and making it hard to traverse.
In fact, there are many, and there are many going on right now. But that is not what I was referring to. No.
Okay. There are many farmers markets where people flock to.
We are very proud of our farmers markets. And in fact, right now, because the produce is very ample, they are quite crowded. And in fact, parking can be an issue. And in fact, crowds can get rather large. But that was not what I was referring to.
There are issues with street signs in terms of navigating.
It is true. We have a unique way of doing things here in Seville.
I'll hop into taxis, though. That won't be an issue for me then.
No, sir. Seville's
I'm halfway out the door.
It can be very deceptive. That's what I was trying to tell you, sir. Big cities can be very deceptive.
In that they actively they lie to you.
Look.
You have no follow up on that.
Talk to the fat man, the enormous, fat, swelling,
I don't want to get
sweating,
too close to him.
Gross.
He looks hungry.
Actually, the sweat from his glands right now is actually squirting at a distance of a foot. I'd stay away from him if I were you.
I'm going to enter my hazmat suit before I have to do my dirty work.
Big cities are deceptive.
Cities.
Yeah,
that's going to make it tough to get out there.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. All right. So that's 35. Final chapter.
Final chapter is 36.
We better bring this home. We're getting long on this one.
My God, we are. Chapter 37. I'm sorry, 36. This is back to Susan. She is looking at her screen lock log. We talked about the exciting scenes later. Looking at a screen lock log. She's double-checking her privacy code. Sure enough, it had been entered properly. Then where, she demanded angrily, did it get a manual abort? So the switches flips back down to idiot. She says the only candidate was Greg Hale, and Susan was quite certain she'd never given Hale her privacy code.
It's so stupid.
Pretty certain, yeah. I don't think I'd ever give the murderer that, who I hate.
Did she give it to anyone? Like, you're
right.
Not, like, no one, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure I didn't give it to the pizza guy. Like, no, why would you? No, it's your privacy code.
So she goes over to his computer, and it had this... just, again, I do not work at the NSA. I never have. I don't know anyone who has, but it cannot possibly work this way. Cryptographers seldom locked their terminals, except when they left Node 3 for the night. Instead, they simply dimmed the brightness on their monitors, a universal honor code indication that no one should disturb the terminal. That is absurd, right?
Not a thing. Not a thing. Even if the head of the NSA was on our podcast right now and he said, no, it's really a thing. Yeah. I would say, sorry, sir, that is not a thing.
I don't believe you, yes. I mean, think about, my dad, worked at his job, he was a lawyer, but he had a thing in the 90s that was like a LED display. It looked like a calculator, and it would just every 15 minutes change, like, a login to his computer. It would issue a new numerical code, which, he was not working on matters of national security. It was just to sort of protect clients' information, I guess. But the NSA working on actual terrorism is like not having a 5-digit passcode to re-enter when you leave your computer.
An honor code. Sir, this Chinese dissident here who washed up on our shore and has no ID and stuff, wants to work in our office. Well, he knows our honor code, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, make sure that he's on board with that. And have the murderer give him the lay of the land here. He seems like a good guy to show around. It's ridiculous. You more often see people complaining about, my company password requires it to be 14 characters long, this amount of special symbols, so it's impossible to remember. And then they, Lawrence makes her change it every 30 days or something like that.
Yes,
I don't know.
These are
frustrating.
Basic things. But in the middle of all of this, he does another thing that I've noticed is the stating blandly and just on its face what is happening. But he puts it in the mind of his genius 170 IQ people. Uh-huh. She cursed Hale, wondering how in the world he'd gotten her privacy code, wondering what interest he had in her tracer. Yep, That's what we're doing right now. That's currently on the table. It's such a dumb way to
rephrase.
Yeah, you're in the middle of it. She doesn't stop and go, I'm actively hacking into Hale's computer right now. I wonder what he would... You're not wondering that. You're doing it. Yeah. It's happening. The story is unrolling. He stops and has his dumbass people restate dumbass things about what's actually happening.
And now that I think about it, when Strathmore shook my hand earlier, I don't think he just wanted to grasp my palm. I think it was a business formality.
Sort of a cultural formality, perhaps?
But yeah, she sees that he has emails to N Dakota, says progress, Digital Fortress is almost done. This thing will set the NSA back for decades. And she thinks, Greg Hale is N Dakota? And she says... she knew that none of it mattered now. All that mattered was getting to Strathmore. By some ironic stroke of fate, Tancato's partner was right there under their noses. And I said, no, it's called hackery is what it is. It's not, there's no irony here. Right. It's like when David saw a Salvador Dali painting and he's like, and I thought I was trapped in a surreal situation. It's like, the author put it there to make the heavy-handed, idiotic point that like your situation is also sort of surreal.
Right. Well, look, you said that she had to kind of, get into into his mails, but he was quite clever. Susan searched his hard drive and eventually found his email folder hidden discreetly inside some other directories. So this guy is no dummy. He's putting folders inside of folders.
Yes, he's
to keep people off of his stuff here. So he's not
been
only
any
just
given
turning
high
down
school
his
boy
monitor.
hiding the dirty pictures from his parents.
Exactly. How many Mac folders will my mom click through before she gets tired?
But he comes back in and she runs to the thing, to the fridge. She opens it like a bowl, and he thinks she might want some tofu, but when she glances back towards him, he says, "What's wrong?" And she realizes she'd forgotten to dim his monitor.
Dun, dun, dun.
Our section ends with a violation of the honor code.
He does ask her, want to share some tofu? A sentence that has never resulted in any human ever getting anything from another person.
Man. Wow. Well, I mean, just jam-packed with stuff to talk about. I mean, hilarious to me.
That was quite something, yeah.
I hope he sticks around. I mean, it was very easy to find that fanfic. I sort of just scrolled and, stopped randomly and found it. So, but I didn't see any Hales there, so I hope he doesn't get dispatched with.
Yeah, I hope not. I'm still bitter about the fanfic. So.
Well, let's do some dumb sentences.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big. A sentence.
Yeah, I don't even know how you do this because they're all so stupid.
Yeah, well, maybe we can leave out the ones that we've already touched on. But we did have a lot of people send them in, so we'll go with the dumb sentences of the week. This was good. Khan submitted, transmitting notifications of his kills were part of his assignment, but including victims' names, that, to the man in the wire-rimmed glasses, was elegance. And there's after including victims' names, there's a dramatic ellipses.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Khan says he's not sure if that is worth a settle down as much as a get a life. Taylor submitted, this is Rosia, the escort. We Gitanas, in addition to having red hair, are very superstitious. That's the culture of the Spanish subset of escorts. This is from Heather. I fat and lonely too. That is him imitating a German trying to hire a prostitute. This is Jen's submitted. Susan saying, I don't get it. Who will guard the guards? We spent a lot of time on that. David submitted, Numataka hated doing business this way with someone else in charge. He said, I found this enlightening. You would expect successful business people to enjoy their competitors or subordinates running things. We also had Tom H. submitted guarding the guards as well. That was very, very popular. Lan said, I solicit many things, Mr. Becker, but trouble is not one of them. So that was a nice little wordplay there in terms of the guy immediately tossing that off when being accused of soliciting prostitutes.
Right.
Augusta, Susan racked her memory trying to remember what Code 22 stood for. They said, a fine example of the stylish, elegant prose for which Dan Brown is renowned. George submitted, the Korean art of self-defense, Taekwondo, proved more deadly than defensive. I mean, I guess by him saying that it's self-defense, he meant that maybe there was some sort of, he got attacked first, but still, it's as clumsy as can be.
Yeah, it's super clumsy. You don't get any idea of what actually happens in that exchange.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't, some fellow Marines were harassing a local citizen, and he stood up for them type of thing.
Right.
Again, easy fix. Andrew, she was too proud to complain to Strathmore about Hale. It was far easier to just ignore him. Curtis, she pouted lusciously.
I missed that one.
I did too. That's very nice. Jacob submitted, having an officer fake a German accent and request a girl for the night, it was entrapment. What would they think of next? And he said, I mean, they probably could think of lots of other things more fantastical than that. Posing as a seller or buyer for these type of things is one of the first things an officer might try. Sherry submitted, it appeared Ensai Tankado was not the only one who could write unbreakable codes. I guess so, but that's in reference to without wax, and so I don't think that David assumed that was going to be unbreakable either.
I assume since he was like doing flirtatious teasing with it, I would hope he would think that it wasn't unbreakable.
Right. Yeah. On her deathbed, he's just like, my code's going to bury you, my love.
Yeah. Sorry we never got together, man, because you couldn't crack it.
And we have one more. This is from Mike T. Becker realized he should have rehearsed this before brazenly knocking on a stranger's door. He said, another brilliant tactical move by one of our genius heroes.
They're in switch off mode. Remember, they have 2 modes.
True. Yes. Yeah. When he's delivering his lectures to standing room only classes, that is his genius mode. I have one. My dumb sentence was from when he's in the lobby of the hotel getting sized up by the stereotype concierge. Becker had no intention of waiting 10 hours for a fat man and a prostitute to wander down for breakfast.
Said the robot pimp.
Yes.
Disdainfully. All mine were burnt. And they're,
oh, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to happen. There's a lot of good stuff.
In a 2-hour plus podcast, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
And speaking of 2 hours pluses, we have gone exceedingly long. We'll save some emails maybe for a quarantine mini that we can do next week.
Yeah. We have plenty of time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. This has been a good time. I like this.
Yes, very fun. Very fun. I hope there's something. I also liked that chapter was early on, so we could devote all the time it warranted.
I can't wait till the team of Hale, Midge, and what is his name? Breakmore? I don't have it in front of me. Brinkerhoff. Until they turn into one super being and attack everyone. I can't wait for that.
Right, they have to take down Jabba after the dripped solder on his arm gives him a cybernetic left arm.
All right, everyone. This is 372 pages. We'll never get back. Michael J. Nelson.
Connor here. Bye.
So long.